After my husband's funeral, SIL tried to steal my home. The dark truth shook us all. The graveyard was chillier than the morgue, and the sky hung low, heavy with a storm that mirrored my sorrow. As I stood there, holding the worn photograph of my husband, I noticed my sister-in-law, Tara, shifting nervously at the edge of the crowd. There was something unsettling in her eyes, like a predator sizing up its prey. The whispers began. "Did you hear about the will?" someone murmured. My heart raced. My world just crumbled. Yet here she was, plotting in the shadows. Tara had always been a little off. Her cruel smirk, the way she clutched her handbag like it was a life preserver, it sent shivers down my spine. She wore black, but not out of respect. It looked more like a cloak for her sinister intentions. Just as the preacher's voice faded into a haunting echo, I swore I caught a glance from her eyes wild with greed. I thought I was imagining things. Then my phone buzzed, an interruption that felt almost choreographed. It was a message. "Get rid of her," it read, and fear gripped my chest like a vice. The funeral wrapped itself around me like heavy fog, obscuring the faces of family members who should have been offering condolence. "Is it true?" An aunt leaned in closer. "The house it's in question, isn't it?" I blinked, numb. The home, my sanctuary, was now a battleground. Did Tara think the grief would blind me? A sudden weight in my throat reminded me that I had to stay strong. Whatever she was plotting, I needed to uncover it. I spotted Tara slinking away toward the back of the funeral home as if hiding from the sadness. I felt a primal urge to follow. Just then the pastor called for silence. They were about to reveal my late husband's wishes. My breath hitched, and not just from the grief that tore at me. It was the knot swirling deep in my gut. Terrified, I watched as Tara exchanged a furtive look with someone in the back. Someone I didn't recognize. Who was that? My pulse quickened. What if they were in on it together? What were they planning? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. As they executed the reading of the will, the air thickened with tension. My husband's voice echoed in my head. "No matter what happens, protect our home." That was his last wish. A bead of sweat rolled down my back. Tara's face twisted, caught between disbelief and rage. This wasn't just about property, it was something much darker. It was about loyalty, betrayal, and the true meaning of family. Who would I be fighting against? Was Tara coming for my home, or something more sinister? The truth dug into my mind like a splinter, aching and raw. What was next? The tension in the air was palpable as the pastor cleared his throat, preparing to read the will. I clutched the crumpled photograph of my husband like a talisman, willing myself to stay calm, but the pit in my stomach threatened to swallow me whole. "To my beloved wife, I leave everything," the pastor's voice trembled, and I leaned in closer, desperate for clarity amid the confusion swirling around me. I could feel the eyes of friends and family pressing in, but all I cared about was that voice. As the words melted into the background noise, I caught sight of Tara again, her fingers twitching nervously as she exchanged glances with that stranger. No name, no identity, yet they shared a burden of secrecy. Anger bubbled beneath my skin. What right did she have to cast shadows on my grief? Then, the pastor's next words pierced through the fog of my thoughts. "And should anything happen to her, the estate will go to my sister Tara." A wave of gasps washed through the room, followed by murmurs that surrounded me like a rattling storm. My heart pounded. Was this part of Tara's plan? I clutched the seat to steady myself as whispers filled my ears. What does that mean? Is she saying she's going to take everything? Tara's smirk returned, a cruel twist that cracked my heart wide open. It was the smirk of someone who thought she'd just won the lottery. My hands shook at my sides, and a surge of emotions clawed at me: betrayal, fury, pain. I was just an obstacle in her way, and I couldn't let her get away with this. As the room descended into chaos, I stumbled out of the hall and into the crisp air, desperate for a breath. I felt like I was running from the darkness closing in on me. But it was a mere illusion. The truth was closing in just as fast. Outside, the sky rumbled ominously. I'd had enough. I whipped out my phone and called an old friend, the family lawyer, who had helped my husband draw up the will. The line rang and my heart raced with each beat, praying there was a safety net buried under the mountain of grief and confusion. "Jane? What's going on?" "I heard about the funeral," she asked, trying to take everything. "Tara thinks she can flip this in her favor. What can I do?" Silence stretched like a taut wire. I could hear someone breathing, uncertainty hanging in the air, thick as a summer storm. "You need to come in. There's something you need to know about the will, something I didn't mention when we last spoke." Hope flickered, mingled with trepidation. What could be hidden in the fine print? Or was it something more? I didn't wait for more detail. I dashed toward my car, adrenaline fueling my every movement. The connection was frail, but in that moment it cut through the fear like a knife. As I slammed the door, I glanced back at the funeral home, shadows stretching and flickering like whispers against the harsh daylight. There was more to this than I realized, and unraveling it would mean pulling threads from a tapestry I thought was complete. The road ahead loomed uncertain and filled with questions. What had my husband really left behind? And could I trust anyone in this family to have my back? The engine roared to life, but just as I was about to pull away, a figure darted out from behind the building. It was Tara, her face twisted in rage, and in that moment, she saw the resolve burning in my eyes. "You're not going anywhere, Jane," she shouted, and I could feel the tension twist in the air, bold and threatening. What was she willing to do to take what wasn't hers? Suddenly, the stakes had never been higher and I was right in the crosshairs. My heart raced as Tara stepped toward me, a storm of emotion churning in her eyes, hatred, jealousy, ambition. I could almost feel the heat radiating from her, a tangible force that told me she was ready to fight. "Don't you even think about leaving, Jane?" Her voice was low, menacing. The world around us dimmed, as if nature itself was responding to her threat. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, my knuckles white. "I'm not afraid of you," I shot back, a defiance rising from the pit of my turmoil. "Good. You should be," she sneered, taking another step closer. "You have no idea what you're up against." Behind us, a few attendees from the funeral had drawn near, gossiping on the fringes, watching our confrontation like it was their personal drama unfolding. I could hear whispers of disbelief, judgment laced with curiosity. "Did you see how she looked at Tara? Like she could mean something." Ignoring them, I stared at Tara, searching for an opening, something that could expose her true intentions. "What do you want, Tara? Is it the estate? The money? Or is it just to see me suffer?" Her lips curled into that same cruel smirk. "Oh, you're so naive. This is about so much more than that." "What are you talking about?" "Let's just say your beloved husband had more secrets than you knew about," she taunted, reveling in my confusion. "And if you're smart, you'll start figuring things out fast." The thrill of terror coursed through me. What else did he hide? I felt the ground shift beneath my feet, an unsettling quake threatening to take away my stable world once again. Before I could respond, the sound of shuffling footsteps interrupted us. Mr. Thompson, the lawyer, approached us, worry etched into his face. I was both relieved and afraid to see him. The look he cast back to Tara was enough to make the tension jump even higher. "Jane, Tara, we need to talk. Now." "Alone," added Tara, eyes flashing, her attempt to control the situation evident. "No," Mr. Thompson insisted, his voice firm. "I think Jane should be present." The significance of those words hit me like a freight train. "What did you find out?" I asked, desperation bleeding into my tone. "What did he leave me?" Tara's smile faltered slightly, the chinks in her armor exposing her unease. "You don't want to know," she hissed. "Oh, but I do." The air between us was charged, and I could feel Mr. Thompson's resolve to keep this unfolding without tipping the balance of power. "We should go inside," he urged, motioning toward the funeral home. I couldn't move. Anxiety locked my feet to the pavement, and then anger boiled over. "No. No more secrets. You can't do this to me. Not after everything." The words came tumbling out, laden with pain. I couldn't allow her to manipulate this. Couldn't let the ghosts of my past dictate my future. Tara needed to see I wasn't the scared, passive woman she thought I was. I'll tell you what you're leaving, Tara, I challenged, trying to hold my ground. It's power. Something you can't have. Tara stepped closer, a cold glint in her eye. You think this is over? I'll show you just how far I'm willing to go. The threat hung in the air like an unspent bullet. My pulse shouted in my ears, each beat a reminder that trust had died with my husband. Betrayal had unmasked itself in the face of someone I once considered family. As I turned to follow Mr. Thompson back inside, I felt Tara's eyes burning into my back, a mark, a promise that this was far from finished. What did she know, and how deep did this go? The shadows were dwindling, and the truth was about to unveil itself. But at what cost? Mr. Thompson led the way, his shoulders tense, as we entered the dimly lit funeral home. The air felt thick, suffocating, filled with unspoken words and lingering grief. I followed, heart hammering, unsure of what awaited me. Behind us, I could sense Tara's presence like a shadow, her energy buzzing with an unsettling mix of malice and determination. Please sit down, Mr. Thompson instructed, motioning to a small conference room filled with heavy oak furniture that seemed to absorb light. I took a seat, my fingers trembling as I clasped them together in my lap to mask my anxiety. Tara hovered at the door, arms crossed, a predator circling her prey. What was it that my husband left me? I managed to ask, forcing the words through the lump in my throat. I needed to know. The weight of her insinuations hung like smoke in the air, acrid and suffocating. Mr. Thompson exchanged a glance with Tara, his frown deepening. He left you everything and something else. Tara laughed, though it lacked true mirth. You better be ready, Jane. This isn't just about money. It's much darker. Stop playing games. I snapped, the sharpness in my voice bringing silence to the room. What did he hide? What kind of secrets did my husband have that could involve you? Mr. Thompson cleared his throat, choosing his words carefully. There were documents, evidence. Evidence that ties both you and Tara together in ways you wouldn't expect. What? I whispered. The prickle of fear crawled up my spine. Before he passed, your husband was involved in something illegal, Mr. Thompson admitted, his gaze hardening. Real estate transactions that might not have been above board. And that pertains to the property your family owns. Tara's expression morphed into a victor's sneer. I knew he was trouble. And now you're going to have to choose, Jane. You can either side with what's right or keep your precious property. What do you mean? I asked, confusion swimming in a sea of dread. It was as if the walls were closing in around me, each word tightening the noose of despair. The estate has strings attached, Mr. Thompson explained. Hidden debts, side deals that could come back to haunt you. If you want to keep it, you'll have to face the consequences of what he has done. More shadows danced as Tara stepped closer. Knowing what I know, the estate won't just be a burden. It will be a weapon. I can help you, Jane, if you're willing to make a deal. The implication of her words chilled me. The woman who had once been close to my husband was now offering me a twisted choice. My heart sank as realization dawned. Tara wanted control, and the threat of exposure hung like a dark cloud overhead. Why should I trust you? I shot back, bitterness rising. Because without me, you'll drown in the weight of this legacy. Secrets breed monsters, Jane, trust me, I've seen them, Tara said, her voice laced with a dark allure that sent shivers down my spine. The question is, how far are you willing to go to protect what's yours? Mr. Thompson added, his eyes locked on mine. And how willing are you to enter the depths of your husband's secrets? Panic coursed through my veins, turning my heart to ice. The room felt more claustrophobic, the air tensed with countless unseen threats. What secret had I married into? What darkness had my husband hidden beneath his charming facade? As I stared into Tara's predatory gaze, I knew one thing for sure. The choice I would make could change everything. What other secrets lingered in the shadows? They awaited to be uncovered, and I had to decide would I face them, or let Tara manipulate my future. The answer was slipping through my fingers like sand, and the moment felt like a ticking clock, the countdown to the unknown beginning all over again. I could feel the weight of every eye in the room digging into me. It was suffocating. I glanced at Mr. Thompson, his brow furrowed, as if he wished he could take back his words. Then there was Tara, lurking like a predator ready to pounce. My insides twisted. I was caught in a trap I never saw coming. I need time to think, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. But what was there to think about? The gravity of my husband's hidden life was heavy, pressing down on my chest. I was drowning in shock. Time isn't a luxury you have, Jane, Tara intervened, her voice silky and dangerous. These debts, they're a ticking bomb. You could wake up one day and find that everything you thought you owned was stolen from underneath you. What do you know about me? My words came out sharper than I intended, but anger bloomed in me, anger mixed with fear. I know things, she said, stepping closer until the distance felt electric. I know how much you hate the idea of losing your home. Your perfect little life. A cold chill ran down my spine. It cut deeper than the fear of losing the house. It was losing the memory of my life with my husband. The days filled with laughter and dreams now felt like shadows, haunted by secrets I hadn't known existed. Tell me what I need to do, I said, my voice steadier now but tinged with a hidden desperation. What was this monster Tara had in mind? Simple, she replied, flashing a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Join me. Help me uncover what your husband was really up to. Together we can turn those documents into your strongest defense. But you'll need to play your cards right. Playing cards right meant stepping into the chaos. I pictured the depth of the secrets waiting to be uncovered, never mind what truths they might mar. My stomach churned. Trust me, Jane. You'll never regret this, Tara said, leaning in, her breath cool against my cheek. The allure of power mixed with fear was intoxicating. Mr. Thompson shifted in his chair, looking disapproving. This is dangerous territory. You don't fully understand what you'd be getting into. Secrets can be dark like midnight with no moon, and they can consume. Tara glanced at him with disdain, her demeanor unimpressed. The truth is always more powerful, isn't that right, Mr. Thompson? Jane needs to decide how much of the truth she wants to face. His eyes flicked back to me, concern etched into his features. Jane, listen to me. You must protect yourself. This isn't just a decision about property, but a decision that could change who you are. I lifted my chin, simmering with fury and resolve. What do you want? I asked Tara, almost daring her to answer. Your trust, she replied, excitement creeping into her tone, and a commitment to the next steps. The next steps that can reclaim not just the property but your life if you dare to choose. The trap felt tighter. I had only seconds to decide. The room shifted around me and a noise echoed in my head, a clock ticking, a deadline approaching. What was my husband's legacy to me? Glimmers of hope fought against the shadows dancing in my thoughts. But in this game of power, could I trust my own instincts? Say the word, Jane, Tara urged, an unholy gleaming in her eyes. You will either let this consume you or change your fate. My heart raced. Choosing between light and darkness couldn't be more critical. As I made my decision, the stakes rose higher. But as I opened my mouth to speak, the sound of shattering glass pierced the air. What now? Was this a warning, or had the clock struck midnight with secrets that were about to unravel before my eyes? The room echoed with the sharp sound of glass hitting the floor, fragments scattering like my thoughts. Confusion clouded my mind and instinct kicked in. I crouched down, searching for the source amidst the gasps around me. Whispers filled the space, vibrating with uncertainty. Did someone break a window? Mr. Thompson's voice cut through. A mix of authority and alarm. My heart thudded heavy in my chest. All the eyes were on me again. A spotlight illuminating the imminent tension. Tara's expression morphed from predatory pleasure to shock. She glanced toward the glass door leading into the courtyard. I'll check it out, Mr. Thompson said, rising to his feet. His demeanor had shifted to that of a protector. Before he could take a step, the noise of hurried footsteps shattered the silence. A figure rushed in, their face a mask of panic. It was Alex, my husband's business partner. His shirt rumpled and sweat glistening on his brow. Jane, you need to listen to me. He breathlessly exclaimed, locking eyes with me. What is it? What happened? I asked, my voice trembling. Your husband, he's been investigated. I received a call just now. They think he was involved in something criminal. His words came out in desperate fragments, as if he feared the very truth of it would not hold. No, not Daniel. He wouldn't. My denial faded into a whisper, doubt gnawing at my insides. Everything I thought I knew about him was beginning to feel like a carefully woven lie. Tara's lips twisted into a smirk as she stepped back, arms crossing over her chest. This changes everything, doesn't it? She taunted, delighting in my unraveling. Shut up. I shot back, trying to reclaim some semblance of control. Listen, Jane, Alex interrupted, his voice low and serious. You have to get ahead of this. If you don't, the debts will bury you. Everything Daniel built. It could all vanish overnight. The room felt like it was closing in on me. Waves of terror mixed with disbelief boiled beneath my skin. I could see the glimmers of fear danced in the eyes around me. What had my husband really been up to? Was Tara right? If I didn't act, I would lose everything? Time doesn't just keep ticking, Jane. You need to make a choice about how you want to fight back. Alex continued, urgency thick in his tone. I can help. Let us expose the truth before it consumes you. What truth? I demanded, guilt and anger roiling within me. What truth are you hiding? He hesitated, glancing around the room like a cornered animal, and then lowered his voice. The investors, they're angry. When they find out about the missing money. I echoed, a bad taste flooding my mouth. Yes. If they connect the dots, they'll come for you next. Daniel had deals that put you both in danger. The implications clawed at my mind, revealing the delicate web of deception that potentially ensnared me. It was a labyrinth I didn't want to navigate but couldn't run from. Jane, you need to trust me. Alex's voice shifted from urgency to a stark reality. There won't be a perfect way out of this. The clock continued its relentless ticking, each second hammering against my chest. I felt the heavy burden of choice crash down. What could I possibly do to salvage my life from this wreckage? The shadows gathered and a gut-wrenching realization washed over me. Tara was right. I had to act, but how? As I opened my mouth to respond, the door behind me swung open wide, and a police officer stepped in, eyes scanning the room with an authority that froze all conversation. Jane Moore? He called, voice steady yet commanding. We need to talk. You're involved in a case and we need your cooperation. A chill crept down my spine like ice water. Would this be the moment everything spiraled out of control? What lay ahead was a maze of uncertainty, secrets, and shadows. How would I fight back when the truth had so many faces? The officer stepped toward me, his presence a rock in the shifting sands of chaos. I felt every eye in the room on me and it was suffocating. My breath hitched as I tried to process his words. Involved in a case? I repeated, my voice coming out softer than I intended. Yes, Ms. Moore, he continued, pulling out a small notepad. We need to ask you a few questions about your husband's activities. It's important. Alex moved closer, placing a protective hand on my shoulder. The warmth sent a jolt through me, grounding me for a shred of a second. I can help, officer. I'm his business partner, he offered, his voice steady, but I noticed the slightest tremor in his hands. Thank you, but I'll need to speak with Ms. Moore alone first. The officer's tone was polite but firm. I felt my stomach drop. This was happening. This was real. I glanced around the room where stunned faces lingered. Tara wore a victorious smirk, as if she were reveling in my impending collapse. Anger flared within me, but it was quickly buried beneath a sense of impending doom. Please, I need answers, I said, desperate to reclaim my voice. Explain what's going on with Daniel. What exactly are you investigating? The officer's expression didn't shift. It's related to recent transactions that raised red flags. Unaccounted funds, suspicious investments. He paused, as if weighing his words. He was being watched for quite a while. I felt my world tremble, each revelation like a crack in my foundation. You're saying he was involved in what? Fraud? There are serious implications, the officer replied carefully, and we believe you might know more than you realize. My purpose here is to protect you, Jane. You're now part of this investigation whether you like it or not. My heart raced, pumping raw adrenaline through my veins. I could barely breathe, the weight of the situation pressing down like a lead blanket. I don't understand, I choked out. How can I possibly be involved? Your finances are intertwined. If your husband indeed mismanaged funds, you could be held liable for debts as well, he answered, his voice lacking the comfort I desperately needed. A flicker of motion caught my eye, and I turned to find Tara, arms crossed tightly, watching me with a glint of satisfaction. It twisted something deep inside me. Oh, how I hated her then, every fiber of her smug being. What are you hiding, Tara? I shot back suddenly, confrontation igniting deep within me. Do you know something about Daniel's dealings? She opened her mouth, but the officer interjected. This is not the time for accusations. I don't care. I snapped. You all act like you know me, like I'm equal to the lies that surrounded my husband. You think I'm complicit? Just because I stood by him? Jane Alex's voice was low, yet it seemed to absorb the attention away from me. We need to figure out what's going on. The police can't help if we don't tell them the truth. The truth? I felt a shudder within me. What if the truth is ugly? What if I find out that everything I thought I had was built on lies? The officer stepped closer, his gaze fierce. That's why we need to ask questions. This is about your safety. If there's money missing, it could put you in danger. Danger. The word echoed in my mind like a siren, warning me of threats lurking just beyond sight. Suddenly, the room felt smaller. My world was slipping away, and I could feel the walls close in. Silence fell as I stared into the officer's eyes, searching for an anchor in the storm that was brewing. Are you prepared to cooperate, Jane? He finally asked with seriousness, his pen poised over the notepad as I opened my mouth to respond. A loud crash reverberated outside, something shattering in the courtyard. Every head turned, a collective gasp escaping lips, and with it, an overwhelming dread filled the air. What now? I whispered, clenching my fists as the officer's expression darkened. Something had gone terribly wrong and I felt it. The shadows encroaching again, threatening to suffocate. What other dark truths awaited me in the unraveling of my life? A new confrontation was brewing, one that wouldn't wait. What I would discover next might be the very thing that either destroyed me or set me free. The door to the room burst open, and chaos spilled in like a wild animal set free. A young man, panic-stricken and out of breath, hurried past the cluster of officers and my friends, eyes wide with fear. Officer, you have to come. There's been an accident. He gasped, barely managing to string the words together. My heart raced even faster. Accident? What kind of accident? I turned to Alex, hoping for an explanation, but his face was ashen. Stay here, he murmured, but it was more a command than a suggestion. The officer nodded sharply and followed the young man out into the hall. I didn't even have time to process what had just happened before a knot of anxiety tightened in my chest. I felt utterly helpless. Tara leaned against the wall, arms folded tightly. Her brow arched in mock concern. Looks like some people really can't handle the pressure, she said, savoring each word. I shot her a glare. Shut up, Tara. I've had enough of your games. Alex returned moments later, his expression grim. It's Daniel, he breathed, the words barely escaping his lips. He's been hurt. No. My mind refused to accept it. What do you mean hurt? I could barely choke the words out, the panic clawing at my throat. How could this happen now? Somebody found him unconscious outside. The paramedics are on their way. Alex's voice was steady, but I could see he was struggling to maintain his composure. Unconscious. The word spiraled in my head. I was caught between hope and despair. What did it all mean? Suddenly, the officer returned, his face serious. We need to secure the area. There's been an incident related to Mr. Moore's case. Everyone needs to remain in this building until we can assess the situation. A collective gasp lodged in the air. My legs went weak. What happened to him? Is it serious? My voice cracked, tears pricking at the corners of my eyes. Ms. Moore, he said, his eyes locking on mine, we don't have all the details yet. But we need to talk to you. You may have been caught up in something much bigger than either of us realized. Caught up. The phrase hung heavy in the air, a dark cloud enveloping my thoughts. My mind raced. Were they connected? How deep did Daniel's mess truly go? What would I have to endure now? That's it. Tara exclaimed, cutting through the tension. You're going to be dragged down with him, Jane. You'll be held responsible for everything. Enough. Alex's voice thundered, silencing her. His eyes were aflame with rage and something else, fear. This isn't helping anyone. This is about Jane and Daniel, not your petty vendettas. Right, but it's all connected, isn't it? You have to face the truth, Jane. Tara shot back, her expression a mix of malice and joy. The officer interjected. I suggest you focus on what's happening out there. This is only the beginning. Once we sort through all of this, you will have to make some difficult decisions. Difficult decisions. The tension in my gut tightened again. What did he mean? How could I choose between loyalty to my husband and my own future? In that moment, the air crackled with uncertainty. I felt torn apart, exposed. My mind raced with thoughts of Daniel. Was he truly innocent? Or had he dragged me into a world of darkness? Before I could respond, the sound of sirens cut through the atmosphere like a knife. Each wail echoed the panic swelling around us, reverberating through my core. Jane, Alex said gently, closing the distance between us, desperation dancing in his eyes. No matter what happens, you have to trust that we'll find a way out of this together. But as I looked at him, uncertainty gnawed at my heart. What if trusting him meant pulling us both into the abyss? I couldn't ignore the signs, and in the midst of it all, one thought echoed in my mind. What if the truth about my husband was worse than I could ever imagine? As the paramedics rushed in, my breath hitched with a dread that clenched around my throat. Was I ready for whatever revelations awaited? And just how close were the shadows behind me? The fragmented pieces of my life were shifting, and I feared it wouldn't be long until they shattered completely. The shrill beeping of monitors intertwined with the frantic voices of paramedics as they rushed to Daniel's side. I felt rooted, unable to move, paralyzed by the conflicting emotions swirling inside me: fear, confusion, and rage. My eyes darted around the room, searching for someone, anyone, who could give me a glimmer of hope or clarity. "Stay calm, ma'am. We're here to help," a paramedic called out, but his words barely registered. My heart thudded heavily in my chest, drowning out everything else. Is he going to be okay? My voice trembled as I dared to question reality. I needed them to tell me that everything would be fine, that this was just a nightmare. The officer glanced at me, his expression unreadable. "We'll do our best, but we need to move. Miss Moore, you need to step back for now." I watched in horror as they worked over Daniel on the gurney. Strapped down, pale and unconscious, he looked so vulnerable, so unlike the man I knew. Panic surged within me again, my breath coming in quick, shallow gasps. What had happened? How could he be in this state? "What do you know?" I blurted out, desperate. The taste of fear was sharp and bitter on my tongue. Alex took a step closer, his eyes boring into mine. "Jane, we have to focus. If we keep being pulled into this chaos, we'll lose sight of what's important." Tara snickered from the corner of the room, her voice dripping with disdain. "Good luck getting anything important out of this mess. You may just be tying yourself to a sinking ship." "Shut up," I shot back, my temper flaring. "This isn't a game." As the paramedics finally wheeled Daniel out of the room, I stumbled back, clutching the wall to steady myself. The room felt too small, the air growing denser as reality crashed down on me. How far had he really gone? The officers continued their investigation, asking questions that made my jaw clench. They were searching through every paper, every detail of Daniel's life. My husband was not just a partner. He was a mystery filled with shadows, and they were determined to unveil everything. "Any idea what he was involved in?" one officer asked me, his tone accusatory. I felt my cheeks burn. Yes. I knew Daniel was stressed. He had some financial issues, but he wouldn't do anything reckless. "Please, you have to believe me." "Stressed? Financial issues?" Tara's voice slithered through the room like a toxic cloud. "You're in deeper than you think, Jane. How can you trust someone who hides things from you?" My chest grew tight. What if Tara was right? There had been times when Daniel was distant, when he'd come home late or seemed distracted. Were those innocent circumstances, or had they been breadcrumbs leading to something dark? "Look, I don't know everything," I admitted, my voice shaking. "But I love him. That's all I know." "Love? Is that enough when your husband is caught in something this serious?" The officer frowned, and I could see the wheels turning in his head. A whisper of doubt slithered through me. Could I even trust Daniel anymore? Was there something he hadn't told me, something that went beyond financial stress? The siren still echoed outside, a harbinger of the chaos that loomed ahead. My heart raced with both an intense ache and an indescribable fear of what could come next. Suddenly, a commotion erupted outside the door. I turned as the officer bounded over, his face taut with urgency. "We've got a situation." My heart dropped. The room spun with uncertainty. The truth was lurking, ready to strike when I least expected it. What awaited us out there in the chaos? And how would it change everything I thought I knew? Panic seeped into the room, wrapping around me like a fog. I blinked, trying to process what was happening when the officer charged back in, urgency painting his features in stark contrast to the chaos unfolding around me. "Everyone needs to stay inside," he barked, his voice cutting through the whispers and gasps like a knife. "What's going on?" I demanded, my heart racing. "Is it about Daniel? Is he okay?" Anxiety surged through every fiber of my being. "No time to explain," the officer replied, eyes darting around as if anticipating an explosion at any moment. "Just stay put." The door swung open again, and in came Alex, his face frantic. "Jane," he gasped, urgency flooding his voice. "They think Daniel might have been involved in something far worse. They found evidence." "What kind of evidence?" I interrupted, desperation clawing at my throat. "They're saying he may have crossed some serious lines in his business dealings, money laundering, possibly even stronger ties to criminal organizations," he said, his words heavy with dread. A cold wave washed over me, the truth settling like lead in my stomach. My husband, the man I built a life with, was entangled in a web of deceit, a deep, dangerous abyss that threatened to swallow us both whole. "What are we going to do?" My hands trembled at my sides. "I can't lose everything. Not now." "Focus, Jane," Alex urged, stepping closer, his voice steady despite the chaos around us. "You need to decide how to approach this. We can either let them spiral our lives into this nightmare or we fight back." Before I could respond, the door swung open once more. A paramedic stepped inside, breathing heavily. "We need to take Jane to the hospital for questioning. It's serious." "What?" I shot up, anger and fear intertwining painfully in my chest. "I'm not going anywhere until I know what's happening to my husband." "Ms. Moore, it's protocol," the officer said, moving towards me, yet Alex rushed in front protectively. "Jane doesn't have to go anywhere without her lawyer," he countered. At that moment, I felt torn between two worlds, my love for Daniel, and the need to protect myself from the storm brewing around us. "I don't want to be a pawn," I shouted, my voice breaking under the weight of emotion. "I'm not a criminal." The officer softened slightly. "We understand. But your husband's actions may involve you. It's best to cooperate and clear your name." In that instant I caught sight of Tara lurking at the edge of the crowd, a twisted satisfaction on her face as if she thrived in the chaos she helped create. Rage bubbled inside me. "You think you've won, don't you?"
Ishota here.
"This isn't over." "Oh, but it is," she sneered, sounding more confident than ever. "Perhaps, my dear Jane, you'll find that I'm not your enemy. Not yet, anyway." With a mixture of disgust and determination, I turned back to Alex. "So we're going to fight back, then?" "Yes," he said resolutely, his hand gripping my shoulder. "We can gather what we need to prove that Daniel was not the man they think he was. We'll expose the truth before it destroys you." I felt a flicker of hope ignite in my chest. "Okay," I took a deep breath, determination surfacing amidst the chaos. "What's our first step?" Alex nodded approvingly. "We'll need to look through every paper, every transaction. I might have contacts who can help us trace where this started. But time is essential. If we don't, they'll take everything before we can react." Suddenly, the tension in the air shifted, and the officer cleared his throat. "Jane, if you're ready, I suggest you follow us now. We can set you up with a team of investigators to get you on the right track. This is the only way to clear your name swiftly." I hesitated but nodded. "Fine. Let us go." As I moved towards the door, the air felt heavy, and uncertainty clung to me like a second skin. Beyond the threshold was an unknown realm of darkness waiting to be unveiled. Tara's voice echoed in my mind as I stepped out into the chaos. "You'll regret not joining me." But I felt defiant. I had to reclaim my life, to honor my husband's memory and uncover those secrets. The moment I was outside, the sunny sky shocked my senses, contrasting sharply with the turmoil turning my world upside down. The sirens wailed as police officers' voices overlapped with the chatter of the crowd. I spotted Daniel on a gurney, consciousness ebbing in and out. I couldn't allow him to fade away under the clouds of lies. I took a deep breath, a surge of adrenaline fueling my determination. I might have been in the storm but I wouldn't let it consume me. I was ready to strike back against the truth and fight for what was right, for Daniel and for my peace. This was just the beginning. As I turned, Alex's reassuring presence beside me renewed my strength. "Let us find the truth together," he whispered, and I nodded, ready for whatever came next. And just like that, we stepped forward into the light, a new chapter waiting to be written, and deep down I knew I'd fight for every single word. You need to subscribe now. Don't miss the next exclusive stories that will captivate your heart. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and let us know you're with us. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about what happens next. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Your support means everything.